So, we've been bouncing around it for a lot here. I think that the Sith guy, he's just off screen the entire time. So to finish my thought on the Immaculate Conception, they got to toe the line here. Like, I think we're in dangerous territory because this is a big deal.
The last shot of this episode, May, she goes to the tree looking for hope, looking for Osha, looking for her family. But I think that she's going to in turn find the devil.
Tooth guy kind of looks like Abeloth. He got some Abeloth vibes.
Yeah.
Mother Anastasia? The mother?
You think so? That'd be insane. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Dune Sea, a show all about that galaxy far, far away and beyond. My name's Seth.
And I am Konnor.
Konnor, hit me with that favorite comment from last week.
Yes, our favorite comment comes from Instagram last week on one of our reels from Jirik Jonley. Hope I'm saying that right. With the absolutely fire theory on where we're going with Acolyte. All right? Buckle up for this one, guys. Great insight. What if Dexter Jetster shows up to save the day?
Hey, what do you know?
What do you know?
Good stuff.
Great comment.
Yes.
Great comment.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, episode 3 of The Acolyte. We are now, we're not quite halfway.
No.
But we are inching our way along.
Yes.
Before we get into 1-minute reviews, you guys come on in. Come on, we're going to pop a squat down here. We're going to sit by the fire.
Yeah.
Got a couple words to say. Before we get into 1-minute review, I was personally not the biggest fan of this episode. Seth, were you more indifferent from what I understand?
Yeah.
More indifferent.
It's fine.
The reason I say that at the top is because, if you've been online the past week, the discourse around Acolyte has been less than stellar.
It's been a little dicey. Yeah.
And we're very thankful. We know we got a lot of new faces here from last week. Thank you for being here. And if you came out at Acolyte episode 3 and you were like, that was awesome, I loved this, I can't wait to watch some content about this, and you tune into our show and you're about to hear us give a lot of criticisms, first thing I want to say is I'm glad you liked it. I'm glad that was for you. Don't let us steal your thunder. Policy here on Beyond the Dune Sea is always, we like to keep things fun, even when we're critiquing, even if we don't like something.
Yeah.
And we're going to have fun with that today. We're going to have fun critiquing the episode. I'm going to kind of say the things that I didn't like about it. Seth's going to talk about the things that he was indifferent about. But at the end of the day, guys, if you liked it, keep on liking it. Like what you like.
Everybody has their own Star Wars, and that's super important. You came into your Star Wars fandom at a very different point than I did.
Mm-hmm. I sure did.
But yet we can come together and we can make a show.
Exactly.
And that's super cool.
Yeah.
And why can't we do that?
Exactly.
Yeah. Why can't more people do that? Yeah.
It might surprise you to learn that my co-host here hates the greatest TV show ever made, the Obi-Wan Kenobi series on Disney+.
Yeah.
And all you guys know it, of course, because it is the greatest show, that I love it.
Yeah.
And yet we're still pals and we do this show every week. So, Hey, if you liked the show and you liked this episode, let us know why you liked it. And I'm not going to tell you that you shouldn't like it. And that's how it's always going to be here out Beyond the Dune Sea. Even if we come to the end of the Acolyte where you're like, you know what? It's not for us. Wasn't our Star Wars. It's okay if it's your Star Wars. So I wanted to get that out of the way at the top of the show because, like I said, it's been a bit of a bummer with some guys out there, some keyboard warriors who, let's just say, have not been fans of the show.
Yeah. And that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay. And that's okay. And if you didn't like it, if you're like me and you didn't like it, that's also okay. But it's not okay to just go yell at people.
Yeah.
And
you probably, it's good to have a sit down discussion with them, not yell at them on the internet.
Yeah. And, I had a lot of great talks with people because we were a little more positive last week.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of great discussions with people who were like, this wasn't for me. And we chatted about it. And hey, that's great. I'm all for that type of discussion. But I'm not about some of the other comments that are hidden by Instagram or are now just you can't see it all because they got flagged.
Yeah.
Got a lot of those.
Lovely.
Hey, you know what, though? That's just the nature of being online. But But hey, I want to put that at the top of the show because, like I said, I know we got some new faces. Our regulars here, they know what we're about, hopefully. And we're glad you're here. 1 minute review.
Okay. So I do like the fact that we're sticking to the mystery. Like we predicted last week. All right, the mystery about the fire and the girls, that's going to be the big what if of this show. And I like that that stuck to it, that didn't just get resolved in this episode, and that we don't have all these other baby problems. That is like the big, at least I believe that's going to be the big overarching problem. I don't exactly like how they're explaining it, but I think that's really interesting though at the same time, where it's like, oh, we're getting different perspectives, because I assume that we're going to get different episodes from other people's perspectives. That being said, since we only got like a third of the story, I thought that the episode was just okay, because there's huge holes missing, especially in that last like 10 minutes of it. So yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do think this was my favorite outing of Master Soul, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. I really liked the stuff that he had to say, and I thought that he was being a genuine Jedi.
I mean, he continues to be a highlight. That's
no,
for sure.
I know. I get that. But yes. And then, yeah, my goodness, the 16 years was rough on Torben.
Yeah, done a number on his hairline.
Oh, yes. Sure. It's wild.
So 1 minute review from me. I'll start it off with, it was pretty, I thought. I thought the establishing shots of the fortress with the eclipses, how that mirrored the opening title.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you thought that too. I thought it had to be. Is that the
I
logo
really liked that.
Of the Acolyte, and then it's like, oh, the eclipse, and then, it's two twins. Yes. Look,
I liked that.
It rhymes.
But unfortunately, that's going to be one of the few nice things I say about the episode. I thought it was extremely messy. I thought from the production to the dialogue to just the general storytelling of this episode. So like my issues are twofold. I have a few lore issues, which we'll get into. And those are floating issues.
Because they could be resolved. We just need to know more about it.
They could be resolved. Yeah. But there's one in particular that I'm like, man, there's a very narrow path for resolution in my mind.
Yeah.
My other issues are mostly like in how this story is being told so far.
Yeah.
The issues I had last week, I think, are exemplified like here. I think everything that I had issues with last week, things about pacing and things about this not being very fresh and expectations not being fulfilled, are tenfold here. But the things I liked that were present last week, I don't think are really here this week. So I'm left at like kind of a 3 out of 10 this week. And if I'm being really honest, and I know I'm going to sound super negative here, I think this is one of the worst outings in live action television Star Wars so far.
There's been some rough episodes of Mando.
I know.
Captain Bombardier?
I know. But here's the thing, like comparing it even to those types of episodes, at worst, those episodes are boring.
Yeah.
I think that this episode has serious issues with the writing and the actual structure to the story.
Yeah. Well, again, I feel like that we're missing huge chunks.
Yes. And I think we'll talk more deeply about, let's just get into it.
Yeah.
We'll just start with, let's just get the negatives out of the way. Because I do want to, even though I do have issues with it, I see there are things that I did like overall that I think that will matter later on.
Yeah.
But it's hard for me to look past some of these very glaring issues. And the first thing is, like I talked about this last week, but this is the story about the Darksiders, right?
Yeah.
We're finally getting that story. And I went back because I'm like, was I mistaken? Did I mishear that this was the synopsis for the show? Yeah. And I went back to that original Investors Day from 2020. Now, this was almost 4 years ago because it was at the end of 2020.
Yeah.
And Kathleen Kennedy said that this would be a story, something like it would be filled with secrets of the dark side, something like that. Be a story of like a mystery thriller. And then we got the mystery thriller part.
Yeah.
But we're just not getting much dark side here.
Yeah.
And the thing that frustrates me the most with this idea is that I think the laziest way to tell a bad guy story is to make the good guy just the bad guy. If that makes sense. So like, I make a lot of Assassin's Creed references on this show.
Because you're a giant nerd.
I am a fan. At least I used to be. So this might be lost on some viewers, but I'll try my best to like make this comparison. So back, there's a game called Assassin's Creed Rogue.
Okay.
It's a kind of a obscure, underrated, I would say, game. But it was so in Assassin's Creed, you have the assassins, which is the main people that you play as, and then you have the Templars. Think of these like the Jedi and Sith. Okay, they're not totally synonymous, but just for the purposes of the analogy. Okay. So you have, let's see, 5 to 6 games. All right, where you're just playing as the assassins. Well, now they announce Assassin's Creed Rogue. You get to play as the Templars. You get to play as the bad guys.
Gotcha.
Oh man!
So I get to be a Sith finally.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, and then they come out with this trailer.
Yeah.
And it's this guy. He's dripped out in some Templar-looking robes, but he also has a hood, which is a very assassin thing. Yeah. We'll get to that in a minute, why that's important. But he uses a gun. Again, not a hidden blade like the assassins would. And he's like hunting this. It's very easy. It's just like out in the snow, and he's like just slowly walking toward this wounded assassin out in the snow with he's reciting the Templars' sort of manifesto here. And then he like executes the assassin. You're like, hey, this is what give me this, please.
I want to be a bad guy. Yeah.
And then you play the game.
Yeah.
And it's not that.
Oh.
You just play as the good guy. They just change the names basically. So the assassins act like Templars and the Templars act like assassins.
And so do you think that the character model, that's why it still has a hood?
Well, it's because the main character, Shay, used to be an assassin and he defects because
still
he's
rocks a hood though.
Yeah, because to give like a very, very brief synopsis of what happens in the game is that the main character is an assassin. He goes to do a mission. A lot of people get hurt, which goes against the Assassin's Creed. Yeah. Never shed an innocent blood.
Yeah.
I forget the actual quote now. I'm a bad fan. And he goes back to the assassins. They don't care. And then the Templars actually take care of him because he gets hurt. He gets wounded. And he's like, man, maybe these guys aren't so bad after all. And so then he decides to work for them. But then they just act like assassins the whole time. And then they act like Templars. So it's just that. And so I say all this to say, that's what I'm getting from this show.
Okay.
Like the Jedi so far have been acting not like Sith necessarily, but like we're in a situation where like everyone sucks.
Yeah. Like, it's very Game of Thronesy feeling.
And
where it's just shades of gray rather than
exactly everything's a shade of gray.
And what I kind of my problem with Andor, I'll be honest, now that you say that, is that there's a lot of gray in Andor too, and that's why it doesn't sit well with me. Is that like I like in Star Wars, at least it seems like most of the time is like there is light and dark.
Exactly. Yeah. Now with Andor, I will defend it in that we're talking about 2 military factions.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
But here we're talking about the literal light and the dark. And to borrow a quote from you that you said last week, how far back do we have to go to see the Jedi as good people?
It's true.
And it's like you see them and they're being real shady to these witches. And I get it. I get there's more to the story.
Yes.
I understand that.
Yeah.
But like now the witches, on one hand, they're like, you're supposed to sympathize with them, but they're also like kind of bad. There's like,
it is weird because like they're here they are talking about, oh my gosh, they used their Jedi mind trick on her. And I'm like, you like took over that one guy.
They contradict themselves all the time.
Yeah. And so
witches.
It's just odd that I was like, I think like you're trying to paint yourself in the light, but like you're bad too, though. That's the problem. Exactly. Yeah.
And again, maybe this is by design.
Yeah.
And on one hand, that's fine. But on the other hand, it's like, and again, maybe this is my fault, but I wanted a story from the bad guy's perspective. And when you're painting everybody kind of as a bad guy, all these shades of gray, I'm like, I don't know who I'm supposed to root for.
Or who do you like?
Like who's the good guy in this situation?
Yeah.
It's just frustrating to me as a viewer because I'm like, who, like for the witches, for example, like I said, they contradict themselves constantly. On one hand, they're trying to make you sympathize with them. And on the other hand, they say some whack stuff. And then during that ascension scene, there is a witch who does like the most cartoonish Wicked Witch of the West cackle in the back. And I'm like, what am I supposed to feel here?
Yeah.
And I'm
that
like,
was odd that it was like, we're saying witches and then now we're doing lots of like stereotypical witch things.
I just feel like the storytellers are using cheap filmmaking techniques to sort of lie and twist and manipulate me as the audience member into believing something rather than naturally making me believe something, even if it's false, because manipulating the audience is a very powerful tool that can be used.
Oh yeah.
But I feel like they're artificially creating this manipulation. And that sound effect is the perfect example. I mean, I know I'm cherry picking that, but again, you go from like the witch is saying like, oh, we're shunned across the galaxy, but then we use this dark magic and the Jedi don't like, what would the Jedi do if they found out that you're doing this? And then you get this like cackling witch, like that invokes a certain emotion, like as a viewer. And like, that was a choice. Like they had to do that, you know, like it's weird. And the Plagueis book, which I have just conveniently sitting here because we're going to talk about it a couple times.
Yeah.
This doesn't do that.
Yeah.
Like this is a story about the bad guys from the bad guys' perspective. And guess what? The good guys are still good for the most part.
Yes. I mean, I was going to say too, that like they talk about the Jedi, getting lazy and stuff like that. And that's how they're able to manipulate. But I mean, Plagueis ain't a good dude. And neither Sidious isn't good either. Right. Like, and what I think is interesting is they were never good.
Yeah.
There was just almost as if fate had picked that they were evil. Yeah.
And it's one thing for the Jedi to be complacent. It's another thing for them to actually be doing bad things. And I think that there is a difference between those two. Like in the prequels, you have the Jedi who had become so complacent that they had let corruption seep in.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a different type of thing because it's an indirect form of evil where like they had let themselves get so consumed by
comfortable.
Comfortable that they were now leading armies and things that they weren't really reflecting on their roles in the galaxy.
Yeah.
Whereas here you have the Jedi who now, I mean, Master Indara, there's a lot of questions I have about this character.
Yeah.
Like she has no sympathy. Like the Jedi have a right to go steal children.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the whole thing is, I think that you heard that one throwaway line about the Republic. Said, hey, you can't be doing that.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think that like that's the loophole or whatever. When they find kids, all right, get them to come be Jedi because at least they're under our blanket or under this.
But correct me if I'm wrong, is it not the case that if the parents do not consent to that the Jedi have to say, okay, well then.
I believe so.
That's what I don't get here. Is like
this may be before that rule was even instated. Though.
That could be.
Yeah,
like,
maybe this is why that rule is instated.
Yeah, because there's another aspect of that which it seems very out of character for the Jedi because these kids are like 8 years old, almost the same age as Anakin.
Yeah,
they have a lot of attachment here.
Yes,
a lot, and yet they're very adamant about taking them.
Yeah.
Now I understand, and we'll talk about this later, but I get that these Jedi probably are not actually just here for the children.
Probably not.
So I get that.
And if you can separate the children too, that maybe you can ruin whatever plans are a brewing, if you will.
So I get that. Yeah. I get that. And we'll talk about that later. So back to so that's one issue I have is like this. I don't like this all just feels like manipulative storytelling and not in a good way. So like the other thing, and you mentioned it earlier in your 1 minute review, that we've gotten one side to this story.
Yeah.
And so, okay, we're getting an unreliable narrator type situation. This is a storytelling trope and it can be very effective. Yeah. We've seen this very often. We've actually seen this in Star Wars.
We have.
We've seen it in The Last Jedi.
Your favorite.
My absolute favorite.
Yeah.
In The Last Jedi, there's that scene, we see it 3 times.
Yeah.
Where Luke
confronts Kylo Ren.
Visits, we'll say.
Yeah.
Kylo Ren as he's sleeping.
Yeah.
Okay. And the first time we hear this, we hear it from Kylo Ren's perspective. Luke's all angry, holding his lightsaber, about to strike him down. The second time, what is the second time?
Luke stays his hand, isn't it?
Oh yeah, the second time Luke does nothing.
Yeah.
Right? Luke's like just the innocent bystander.
Yeah.
The third time we get the real story, and that he pulls out the lightsaber. He doesn't actually ignite it, right? Or does he ignite it?
I think he does ignite it. He just stands. He's not like standing there, like he's not grimacing. That like
he's like because he was filled with shame.
Yes,
right? He's
exactly.
Like, man, what have I
done?
Then
Ben wakes up and he drops the roof on him. Yeah.
So that's done well because for one reason is because it's all done in one story. So that's another issue with this is that Disney Plus has been doing this like 8-part movie format. It's not really a television format. It's like it's structured almost like a movie.
Yeah.
And so when you're telling an unreliable narrator type story, it can be very satisfying because you do sequentially get answers, but now you have to wait a week.
Yes.
And there's that aspect. And so I think that adds a layer of frustration.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's just me, but I do think that personally adds to that frustration. So there's that aspect in TLJ. You do get incrementally, you get more to the story.
Yeah.
But also it's very simple. Just one scene. It's an interaction between two characters.
Yeah. Here, a lot of moving parts.
There's tons involved here.
Yeah.
So when you're basing an entire episode around a character's point of view that is also an unreliable narrator,
yeah,
you're missing a ton. And also, they've not established this concept yet. So like there's a movie that does this very well, Joker, that came out, Joaquin Phoenix, unreliable narrator type film. Excellent movie. And they give you tons of hints about this throughout the movie, that he's an unreliable narrator to the story. Because you're getting it told through your point of view, through his point of view, rather. Here, it's not even clear whose point of view we're getting the story from until like halfway through the episode.
Yeah.
When May and Osha are separated.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh, okay, we're getting this from Osha's point of view.
Because we actually follow her into the thing. We don't actually know what May did.
Yes. Yeah. So now we see, okay, we're getting this told from Osha's point of view. Why is she an unreliable narrator?
Mm-hmm.
In Joker, we know why. He's a psycho.
Yeah.
Okay. In TLJ, it's because Kylo is so rife with anger toward Luke, and he was half asleep. He remembers that very differently. Yeah. And I get Osha's a child. She's going to remember this differently too. But we've not established any of this to this point. Mm-hmm. And so it just feels, it's just so like, it's so clunky to me because it flows okay. It's pretty boring if I'm being honest, but it flows okay.
Yeah.
Up until the fire.
Yeah. And then everything just starts falling apart because you hear the screams looking up.
Yeah.
And then Soul comes running in and it's like, well, wait, where'd he come from?
And I get you're supposed to be asking questions.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like you've not established the storytelling mechanisms to be asking questions yet, in my opinion. And then you're not giving any answers yet. People got to wait a week. And I think that adds a layer of frustration.
Yeah.
And it's not quite as black and white as I'm making it seem. Like there is some nuance to it all, but that's kind of the bulk of my filmmaking issues, if you will.
Yeah.
I have a very specific lore issue, which is going to surprise no one if you've been following, like if you watch the show and if you've seen any other content creator, you probably know what we're going to talk about in a little bit. But the dialogue felt wooden. I thought performances, I hate to say it, I'm going to feel mean saying it. I thought the child actors were a tough watch
especially when they were bickering. It was really tough when they were bickering, where I was like, I just don't buy it.
Yeah.
I just don't. Yeah.
And I wonder if that also had to do with the editing, because I thought the editing in this episode was not very good.
Yeah.
But it also was mostly during their scenes. So I wonder if the editors kind of had to
cut around stuff.
But I've also noticed there's been some weird cuts all throughout this show.
Yeah.
Maybe and again, this might just be because, I mean, this is what we do. We're involved with filmmaking.
Yeah.
So
we like to make stuff.
We're a little more sensitive to that kind of thing, but so there's my piece on that on that side. You have anything to add to that? You agree, disagree?
I mean, it is rough, especially since I don't like, from a storytelling perspective where it's like, okay, we're in the present, now we're in the past. And I'm like, well, how many times are we going to go back to the past? Are we going to get full episodes from the Jedi's perspective and I assume May's perspective? Because that's 5 episodes of your show. Like that'll be 5 episodes in, 3 of them are flashbacks. That's interesting. Where it's like,
that's a great point. It is about cadence, isn't it? Like the show has not established a cadence at all.
Yeah.
And maybe that is part of the problem, because I've been having trouble really like that writing down what are my issues. Like something is off, but I can't figure out what. I think the show is just, it's unfocused.
Yeah.
And it feels messy. And I think that you are right. Now that we've gone present, past, and we know that there are unanswered questions, and we know that we have to go back, especially from the trailers. We know there's more footage there.
I assume we'll go present, past, and then one final one, right? Was that enough? Or will that be all of them?
Could be. And so,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Like, so is that going to be the cadence of the show? And establishing the cadence of the show 4 episodes halfway through, that's rough.
It is rough. Or maybe there'll only be half episodes or something like that. It's kind of like X-Men 97. Great show if you haven't watched that. Also on Disney Plus. That Storm episode's out of nowhere. Where like, you know, they establish they're doing a certain way the first 3 episodes, and that Storm episode where like half the episode's about her, and then the other half I think is about Jubilee.
Yeah, but X-Men 97 is a serial.
It is.
So it's a little different.
But like, again, just the formula of how it works, it's just all of a sudden they just threw it all out for that one episode. Yeah. And so that's where this kind of...
Well, I think that works with a serial because that can be a fun surprise for the audience in a serialized format.
Yeah.
But in a story where it's more sequential storytelling, I think you have to... as a storyteller, you have some obligations to your audience. Yeah. You need to establish trust with them as a storyteller that like literally you can tell the story and you can do it effectively. Yeah. And that they can trust you to deliver information and they can deliver it in a satisfactory way. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, in a mystery, if they don't deliver the information in a satisfactory way, then they've failed as storytellers. Yeah. Like we were speculating a lot about this, and there, like in Ahsoka, there was a lot of this. There was a lot of this in Bad Batch. Yeah, and some success, some not. Yeah, but they established a cadence in both of those shows. And where they failed, we pointed that out. Like in Ahsoka, they had a great ramp up. Yeah, and then they sort of fell off for a minute. Yeah, and then had to redo their ramp up because they had established a cadence, and then they had kind of messed up their pacing. Bad Batch was very similar. Yeah. Actually, it kind of went like this and then plateaued. Yeah. And then had a little bit of a spike at the end. Yeah. But in both scenarios, they still established a good pace, a good like, hey, here's what you can expect from us each episode. We have a formula. We've got like here's our delivery system for information. So I don't know, that might have been super boring for everybody. There's like a snooze fest. Everybody's like, I could care less about narrative storytelling. Yeah. And like how this works. So, hey, let's get into like the actual meat and potatoes of this episode. Okay. Let's just start out with these witches, the witches of Brendock. Yeah.
The dark side of the Force is a pathway to many abilities, some considered to be unnatural.
Unnatural indeed.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a good.
Who knows what they're brewing? Yeah. Yeah.
So this was interesting, but also they kind of felt generic. I'll be real. There's not much to them right now.
It is weird that like they don't have a look really. That like that's one thing I do like about the Night Sisters is that they do have a look.
Yeah, they got a vibe.
They do.
I think they kind of got a look. I don't know.
A little bit.
Back on that a little bit.
A little. I was going to say that like
kind of like the dark blue robes and stuff. Yeah. They're just not in them that much. Yeah, they're kind of just chilling for a lot of the episode. Yeah. I do think it's interesting. So they were exiled for their use of dark magic. We can assume. Yes. Right.
Being witches.
Yeah, being witches. Yeah. And so, like, let's get right into their version of the Force, the thread. Yeah. A lot of people up in arms about this one.
Why? Why are they up in arms?
Because it redefines the Force and it burns Star Wars.
But at the same time, though, don't different cultures view the Force a different way? Luke even tells the Knights of Ren, you use it as a hammer. Yes. And I use it as a blade, right?
Exactly.
So it's just different perspective.
And the Night Sisters call it magic.
Yeah.
And
with a K probably.
With a K.
Like the night. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, I think that I just brought that up because I thought that was silly because it's like, first of all, we can assume so far these guys seem like shady folks. Yeah. So their definition of the Force might not be the correct one. You don't have to take them at face value.
It's true.
This is a lesson, guys, in general. If a character says something, especially in Star Wars, if somebody says something and they're the villain, especially, and you disagree with it,
it's probably a good thing.
Yeah, right? Like, I remember this was one thing, even it's from TLJ, and I even agree with this. Let the past die. Kill it if you have to. You know, people are up in arms about this. Like, Kylo Ren says that. Yeah. He's the villain, guys.
He's not a good person. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Maybe the message is not to do that in the movie. Like, let's watch it. Yeah. So, and I will say, even with this though, like the thread, right? So the way that she describes it, Mother Anastasia, is almost word for word how Luke describes it in TLJ. There's a lot of TLJ here, surprisingly.
A lot of Phantom Menace, a lot of TLJ.
Kind of an interesting fusion
Crossroads.
dance.
Yeah.
Hey, twice, two episodes in a row.
Wow, you were able to reference Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, a lot of TLJ. And then also it's, I mean, almost direct quote from Yoda as well. So here is the quote that she says. All living things are connected by the same thread, a thread woven through all of existence. Some call it a force and claim to use it. But we know the thread is not a power you wield. Pull the thread, change everything. It ties you to your destiny. It binds you to others. Sounds a lot like Yoda there at the end. It binds you to others.
It's
and
true.
also, remember, Luke, the force is not a power you have. It's not about lifting rocks.
It's interesting, too, because in the Old Republic, some of the guys they fight, they claim there's like a cult in the Old Republic that the Jedi go up against that basically say no one uses the Force because if you tug on it, you change something. And so no one should be wielding anything.
Oh.
And it sounds very similar to that.
Okay.
But I don't think that they...
She said she's a fan of that.
Yeah, I just don't know because I'm like, it doesn't seem like that they're them, though. That's the whole
maybe
thing.
Not, but she might be referencing.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that first we have to point out, first of all, that Mother Anastasia is immediately contradictory in her own statement.
Yeah.
So she says, because this is a very Sith thing, first of all, what she says. So she says, some call it a force and claim to use it. She says that with a little bit of a bite in her voice. So I think she's had some run-in with the Jedi in the past.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So she's got.
Why do you think they're
issues.
exiled?
Yeah, for sure. There's something there.
Yeah.
She's got some issues with the Jedi. That's for sure. So, but she says some call it a force and claim to use it, but we know the thread is not a power you wield. And then immediately she says, pull the thread, change everything. And she says that a few times throughout the episode, like about pulling the thread. Is that not using and wielding the force and manipulating it to your own desires?
Yeah. I would have to think so.
That sounds very Sithy to me.
Yes, it does.
Whereas the Jedi, they let it flow through them.
They're conduits for it.
That's their language that they use.
Yeah.
The language that they're using, the witches, is about pulling it, guiding your own destiny, making things about you.
Sounds like Plagueis.
Sounds very selfish. It sounds very Sith-like.
Yes.
Sounds very dark side.
Yes.
So as of now, I mean, again, this all teeters on like, is this intentional or is it not?
Like,
I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt.
I was going to say, we only got a third of the story, Konnor.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm giving the showrunners the benefit of the doubt that this is intentional, that these people are intentionally being contradictory because you kind of have to be selfish in this way and talking about the force and manipulating it to your own desires.
Yeah.
So this is again, like part of my issue with these characters. Like on one hand, you're supposed to feel bad for them, right?
Yeah.
Because she talks about how they're shunned, but then she talks a lot about, claiming the galaxy for themselves or for themselves, claiming the force for themselves.
Yeah.
And then, she possesses Torben right away. She uses dark magic for things.
Weird. About the whole mocking the Jedi for or not mocking, but like talking about their mind tricks. And then like, what is she doing there? She's in his head. I mean, whether you want to admit it or not. Yeah.
Yeah. To quote our boy Anakin Skywalker, she lacks conviction.
Yeah.
I mean, she is constantly contradicting herself, which I think is interesting. I'll transition a little bit like into the Jedi and like taking the children. This is what I find fascinating about these characters and this whole interaction, because it's so odd to me. So first of all, you have 4 Jedi that were sent according to them to take the children.
They didn't know they were going to take the children, right? Weren't they there for like a reconnaissance mission or whatever?
Is that what they said?
I thought that's what they said. They didn't even realize that there were children there. They were like on a scouting mission. They didn't think that there was anybody even there.
Oh,
then they discovered the witches.
Okay.
I think they're lying though too.
Oh, I think they're lying.
Yeah.
Either way, they're lying.
Yes.
But, This is the part where I think it's weird, like how they're painting the Jedi out to be, because the Jedi are trying to forcibly take these kids away from their coven, who have a lot of attachment toward their coven, right?
Yeah.
Calling upon like authority to the Republic and like, hey, know, you would agree, Mother Anastasia, that the Jedi have the right to do this.
I think also they're testing to make sure that, like, I mean, they took their metachlorian count as well.
Yes, there's that. Well, I mean, I think that's standard protocol.
Yeah, I mean, they're they're covering their tails. That's the whole thing, and making sure that like, that their evil may not be afoot with these children, but evil clearly is afoot in some way, shape, or form. Yeah.
Well, I think that they're here for sure. My theory is that somebody tipped them off to these children.
Yeah.
I think that somebody is likely our friend, the Sith.
Yeah, I assume that too, and I assume that we'll get into him a little bit more later, unless you want to talk to him about him now.
Yeah, we'll talk about him in a minute.
Okay, yeah,
because I finished this thought about taking the children, because this is just, again, this is odd to me. It's like I don't like the message here that they were going with these kids, because on one hand, like I kind of am with Mother Anastasia.
Yeah,
like with Osha, she's like, I want to go out and become a Jedi, right?
Yeah.
And she's like, you're 8 years old.
Yeah.
You don't know what you want.
Yeah.
Things can change.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I think that's a very real thing. Because I mean, like, I'm a grown up, and still my opinions about things change, and what I want to do, like that changes on a dime.
And this isn't a small thing. No. It's like, okay, so when you're 8, you don't have the faculties of reason to decide that you want to leave your family forever and become a monk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, when you're 8, your mom kind of knows best.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of with Mother Anastasia on this one.
No, I gotcha.
And so it did bother me a little bit that when she's with Soul, Soul is like, oh, it's all about if you speak the truth.
Yeah.
Then, it's like, brother, she's 8. What do you mean?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
She wanted spice cream for dinner. Like, what do you mean? Like, you were 4 when you were taken.
Yeah.
Like, and so, but they spin it in this way, like, they don't commit. And this is again, my issue with this show is that they were trying to, I thought, show how the Jedi were kind of weird for this.
Yeah.
But then they don't commit to that.
Yeah.
Like, I would have liked that they would have taken that up a notch, and showed like, hey,
and maybe
like
we'll see more of that. I don't know.
Maybe, but
because I think that's got to be one of the narratives we see.
I'm sure we get more from that, but I just the message of like, what Osha wants to do is what's best for Osha.
Yeah,
I think that part's done.
Yeah, it is
I didn't like that.
Do you feel like that? Like it's almost like a very Luke Skywalker, where it's like, I want to learn the ways of the Force and be a Jedi like my father. Like, no, I want to travel the galaxy and be a Jedi. It's just that you're 8.
Yeah, I know that's about to say. Like, Luke was 18.
Yeah,
like that's a huge difference.
I know, that's
20 rather.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at though. That it's like, it's weird when you age the characters down a little bit and wanting to go on like the hero's journey or whatever. Yeah.
So maybe they aren't the best parents. So maybe the Jedi are the best.
It is weird that like she like when the mom was talking to Osha, that she just says like, we'll take what you want into consideration. I don't think that they were going to let her leave.
No, I don't either.
Yeah.
I don't either. And you know what? Like, again, I'm kind of,
because that's why I think the Force is trying to separate the children. Like, does that make sense?
I don't think it's a Force. I think it's a Force.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Okay. Yeah.
But I don't know. Like, as a new parent myself, I'm like, I'm with the mom here.
Yeah.
Like, I appreciated that she was like, hey, we're going to take your thoughts into consideration, but maybe if we decide what's best for you, if you did not go off and become a monk, then, like
swinging around a laser sword.
Then okay. That's not for you.
Hey, question. Do you think is something off about the hilts in this show?
They're really thick.
Why?
I don't know.
I think that's so dumb.
I noticed that too.
Yeah. Like, it's like the toy behind you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's like real thick because it can like fit a telescoping plastic tube inside it. Yeah.
Yeah. I did hear, I don't know if it was from an official source or not, but it might be because they are literally putting blades in these things because
so they can fight.
Yeah.
Oh, and they can cast light and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Interesting. Huh.
So I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah.
But
interesting.
Anyway, so we've been bouncing around it for a lot here. I think that the Sith guy, he's just off screen the entire time.
Yeah.
He's pulling all these strings.
I think the tree, I'm going to talk about it for a minute.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think it's really interesting that Sith guy who we think is Sith guy, like wielded the tree essentially, that like poison, like made the poison.
Chimere, you mean?
Yeah, Chimere. I think that he's the Sith guy. You've convinced me now.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think it's interesting that the tree came back from there, because that's the poison that she uses to kill Torben. Right. What is it? The Bunta
yeah.
the Bunta tree. Okay. I think it's interesting that like the last shot of this episode, May, is she goes to the tree looking for hope, looking for
Osha,
looking for her family. But I think that she's going to in turn find the devil, like waiting for her, and the devil's going to manipulate her, and she's unfortunately going to be doing the devil's work.
Yeah,
because you're going to
spot onto that.
Yeah, I think that she's going to be doing his bidding basically, and getting rid of his enemies for him. Yeah.
I think you're spot on with that. So I think the Sith were integral in creating the twins.
Yeah, I don't like, because that's the whole thing that what is the Zabrak's
Coral,
I think.
Okay, right? Coral.
Yeah, I think
Carl?
It is. Yeah.
Carl. I didn't mean to say it like that. I meant to say like chiral, but it came out Coral.
I think it's Coral. I think it's like that. Coral. That because she was so concerned with what means the children were created with.
Yes.
So I think there's a little, for lack of a better term, there's a little extra sauce.
Okay, So I know we're bouncing around a lot today, but there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
The Immaculate Conception.
Yeah.
Jumping right in here. Here's the lore thing I have a problem with.
Okay.
I'm very nervous about this.
Yeah.
This is a big deal. Like, this is narratively, from a storytelling perspective, like this has divine connotations. Like, quite literally, this comes from the Bible.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, like, I just talked about the Bible a little bit.
Well,
yeah. With the serpent waiting at a tree for someone.
There's a couple biblical references here. Like, one of them I'm actually not a fan of at all. I'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
But the Immaculate Conception with Anakin is a big deal, because it's like in the Plagueis book, which we're assuming is still canon, or at least partial. I think that the part where Anakin is made is because in the Darth Vader comics, they pretty much confirmed that happened.
Yeah, but they said too that that's just an interpretation.
I know, but they're saying that like, so what happens in the book is like Sidious and Plagueis try to create this perfect dark side entity.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And the Force bites back.
Yeah.
And the Force creates Anakin. That's important. That's an important distinction. The Force creates Anakin.
Mm-hmm.
And so what Darth Vader sees in that vision in the comic is Palpatine over Shmi's womb,
creating him essentially. Yeah.
And yes, it is an interpretation of that.
Yeah.
And George has always wanted to leave that up to interpretation.
Yeah.
Okay. But the important thing is that the Force created Anakin.
Yeah.
Okay. So now in the Acolyte, we're once again with the Immaculate Conception. And what that means is without a father. Okay. That's all that means. That's a big storytelling beat. Like, that's not just something you toss out of there.
Yeah.
Like, that's huge. They really got to back this up with something, because if it's just that these witches just figure out how to do this, I'm going to have a huge problem with that, because you're telling me that over thousands of years, the Sith could never figure out how to do that.
Yeah, but that's what like Palpatine's been trying to do this whole time.
Yes.
And this like little sect of witches.
This is just little coven of witches.
Yeah.
Could just do it.
Yeah.
And they never do it again.
Yeah.
So there's that aspect. What I think is more likely is that the Sith, I'm just going to call him the Sith.
Toothy Sith guy.
Our friend. Because I don't know if it's the same guy at this point, because this is a little earlier.
Yeah.
So the Sith, whoever is the operating Sith at this point.
Yeah.
I think that the witches were exiled.
Yeah.
They were without new children for some time, because obviously they're all women. They can't reproduce amongst themselves.
Yeah.
And so desperate, Mother Anastasia contacts the Sith Lord, who maybe is whispering in her ear.
Yeah.
And
this is how you grow your ranks. This is how you.
And so he's like, hey, got something I want to try.
Yeah.
This could help you guys. This could be the key to your coven's survival.
Yeah. Helps you, helps me.
Yeah. And so
I think that's got to be it, right?
Boom, you get this.
Yeah.
Boom, man, Osha are created.
Yeah.
And then now we fast forward, and the Sith is there to take his prize, because like any Faustian agreement to deal with the devil, the pay always comes due at some point.
Yes.
So yes, Mother Anastasia got her wish, but so will the devil at some point.
And it's interesting because all the Sith's enemies wiped each other out, basically. A very like Darth Bane kind of thing, where the Jedi are broken and scattered, basically. And then the witches are all dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he is there to claim May.
Exactly. So I think that we're going to see more of that. Like when we go back that Sith he's right there. I think the Sith is the one who tips off the Jedi. That is such a plagueist thing to do.
Oh yeah. Because it keeps them off his trail.
Yeah. To personally tip off the Jedi. Like, hey, there's some Force sensitive kids here.
Yeah.
It gets the witches out of the way.
Yep.
And he's also the guy, he's tugging the strings, he's whispering in the ears. That's the type of Sith they're setting up. That's the type of Sith that would eventually become a Palpatine.
I mean, yes.
That's the one who would go into the Bane line. So the Immaculate Conception, if that's the route they go, I'm sort of okay with it.
Yeah.
And I really hope in that case that that's Tenebrous, because that would also be a Tenebrous thing.
Yeah.
It's
Sith science.
It's too old to be Plagueis.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tenebrous was a very like Sith science type of character.
Yeah.
But it had to have failed a little bit. So I think that the other thing that happened is
twins
is split. So we have a light side and a dark side.
Yeah.
And so it split them down the middle.
Yeah.
And so that's why May is so prone to wanting to set the fire, and Osha is so prone to like, I want to join the Jedi.
Yeah, I want to be a good guy. And it's weird too, because like she can she use the Force? We know because she manipulates that little butterfly thing.
She was a Jedi for a while.
Oh, yeah, kind of. But she may have sucked.
Well, I mean, and we know that
she manipulated that little butterfly, but like she couldn't pull Pip. She couldn't get the door open. Like there was several things where it was like.
I mean, I think in present time she's cut off from the Force.
Yeah,
but I mean, she does she passes the test.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Were you really sad they didn't say cup? Ship.
No.
Like Anakin's test.
No.
I think the test changed in 100 years.
That was one of my favorite scenes actually from this episode. I like that a lot.
It was
Soul,
cool.
It was a great moment from Soul.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's good stuff. I thought he had a good outing this episode.
He did. Yeah, that was a good moment.
Yeah.
So to finish my thought on the Immaculate Conception, they got to toe the line here. Like I think we're in dangerous territory because this is a big deal.
Well, you don't want to devalue Darth Vader and Anakin Skywalker.
Exactly.
Yes.
And it's just, I have this problem across Star Wars. Like, I just don't like the idea. Like, stop taking the things that make these characters special and giving it to other people.
Yeah.
Make them special in new ways.
Yeah.
Like, that's what was kind of cool about Rey and Kylo Ren. They were a dyad. That's new. That's something different. They were special in a new way.
Yeah.
Okay. I can get behind that.
Yeah.
Like, Grogu has his own thing, right? Like, you have Ahsoka. She's got her own thing going. Like all these characters are special in their own way.
Yeah.
And I don't like the idea of just robbing one character's sauce and just giving it to another character. So again, I could be okay with this if this is as far as it goes.
Yeah.
The big thing to remember, and this is what I'm trying to remind myself of, is that the Force created Anakin.
Yeah.
They manipulated the Force to create like
these twins.
Those are different.
Oh, it's super different. That's the whole thing. And I think it's going to bite back at them too. And that's the whole thing. And that's why they're afraid of the Jedi.
Well, one is very dark and one is very light.
Yes.
Right. And so,
one came out of darkness.
Yeah.
They're like when Palpatine and Plagueis were messing around or whatever. Yeah. The Force bit back, but in a positive way.
Yeah, well, I'm saying, but still like the Force.
Yeah.
Out of light created Anakin.
Yes.
Right? Anakin did some bad stuff, sure, but like, he ultimately served his purpose in a light way. So the other thing I want to mention here, because we're talking about like the biblical references with like the tree with the serpent, I think the serpent call is a great call.
Thanks, man.
I think that's good.
That guy, like the Toothy Sith guys, like the more I thought about it, then I'm like, why would they end on that shot? I'm like, he's still waiting for her. I guarantee it. Like,
I think you're right.
Yeah, I don't know. Or like waiting to pick her up. And then like, again, the mask reminds me of like a snake's jaw, like like unhinging or whatever. I don't know why. I just got that like imagery in my head. So
no, I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think you're right. So there's one more, and this one, I'll be real. As a person of faith, this one disturbed me a little bit.
Yeah.
There is a direct Bible quote in here that they change one word of, and it's in a really weird place.
Yeah.
So, and I would be remiss if I did not mention it. So it's during the ascension, and they say, Anastasia says, "What the thread has tied together, let no one separate." That is word for word from Mark 10:9 or Matthew 19:6. They're in both passages, where Jesus says, "Therefore, what God has joined together, let no one separate."
They say that at weddings.
It is a quote about marriage. Jesus is talking to the Pharisees about marriage.
Yeah.
And so I think that, first of all, I'm all for taking Bible verses and, using them in dialogue and stuff. I think that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
But I'm not a huge fan of using it with dark side characters,
Yeah.
especially the words of my homie Jesus.
Yeah.
I'm not as into that.
Yeah. No, I
And
get
especially a phrase meant to be about marriage,
a very
applying
positive thing.
to children.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, I don't think there was anything meant behind that. I
Yeah.
think that it was
I think it was a kind of a like, oh, that sounds cool. Write that down.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think that is probably it.
Yeah.
But
It's a
I just,
little-
as immediately when I heard that, I was
no, I was right there with you where I'm like, I've heard that before.
yeah, because we shoot weddings.
Yeah.
And I've been to quite a bit of them. And I'm
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
I'm not so sure about that.
Yeah.
That's a really like,
An
hey, if you're a person of faith or not, like
yeah.
that's fine.
Yeah.
That's some sacred text.
Yeah.
The sacred text. And like,
Yeah.
you got to pay some, you got to
Some reverence.
You got to pay
Yeah.
some reverence and some respect.
Definitely.
To that. Like when you're using, and I just
Yes.
think that, like I said, if this were like, if this was Luke, for example,
Yeah.
or Saul in this
Yeah.
case, if it was Saul out there and he wanted to pull, like, gosh, now I'm just going to sound like a bad Christian because I can't think, like on the spot, I can't think of a good quote he would use, but reference to Bible quote, obviously not as a Bible quote, but like it just one of his teachings. Like if that's how you wanted to use it, I'd be like, hey, like I like that, neat.
Yeah. Yeah.
But using it like in a dark ritual,
and then it being a marriage quote that about children being bind together is odd. Stick to your little rhyme thing about
like the power of one, power of two, power of many.
Exactly.
So I had to talk about that because I was like I said, it disturbed me. I'll be real. It caught me immediately. I was like, did I mishear that?
Yeah.
That sounded like that was exactly it.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's it with the Immaculate Conception stuff. I think that
I do think though that I hope it's what you just said. Like that's kind of cool in the sense that like with the Sith helping, because like the Night Sisters do the opposite. They can reanimate corpses and things like that. So like we know this is in like the wheelhouse or like in the power set of maybe not I don't want to call them like lower tier Force users, but like not Jedi and Sith. That they at the very least they can do this. So I'm like, okay, if they're getting help, maybe they could do the opposite. If they by themselves can reanimate the dead. Yeah.
Well, but what you're describing is also like highlights another issue I have is that reanimating a corpse, that's an evil thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, that's
evil.
Yes. No. And
whereas,
well, again, I felt like that. None of the ritual or how they talked about the twins, like none of it seemed that positive, except for the whole like, hey, we're a family, and I don't want to break up the family.
Don't get me wrong, I agree. They are they got there's some skeletons here in the closet. Yeah. I'm just saying that creating life, however, is not evil. Yeah, and it should not be portrayed as evil. Yeah, I have serious fundamental issues with that from a storytelling perspective. Yeah, and so. That's why the conception of Anakin is great, because it is the Force, a divine intervention. Yeah. But when you're telling me that evil forces create life, like there's a reason why Plagueis doesn't succeed. Yeah. It's because evil can't do that. Yeah. Exactly. And that is just a timeless storytelling concept.
Well, now we're getting to the roots of Star Wars. What do the Sith do? They keep themselves on this plane of existence, but it rots them to the core in doing so, while the Jedi gently pass on. Yeah.
And that's like, that gets to really the root of Star Wars storytelling. I mean, heck, we're talking about religion, religious concepts. Like evil cannot create.
Well,
the Force
if
is
it
a
is,
religion.
it's like twisted and
well, yes, it's
twisted and destroyed and gross.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's always a perversion.
Yes.
And so
of something good.
I just don't, again, they're really going to have to toe the line for me because I don't like the idea of like two human beings, two people. And I know, I get it's a fictional universe. Okay, I get it. Yeah. But I don't like the idea that darkness created these people. Yeah. Like that's, I don't know, that's got connotations and I'm not a fan of that personally. Gotcha. But again, I think there's an avenue. I think there's an out. Yeah.
You hope they take that blinking exit sign.
Yeah. It's just weird because it's like, but then I'm setting myself up for like
being disappointed.
and I'm very intentionally being like, I know that there's a good shot that that's not it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No. And
But also like, I don't know. It is also the only thing that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
So I don't know. A couple other hits here.
Question though.
What?
What is it Chimere? Chimere. I'm sorry. What do you think his age is though? How old's he? Because that's the whole thing. Unless he's just the apprentice.
Oh, if he's the Sith?
Yeah. If he truly is the Sith.
And he's got to be the apprentice if he's the Sith. The more I thought about it, I think that he's probably the apprentice. But he
could be the guy in the mask. That's what I'm saying too. Is that like
because the jury's still out, and if toothy Sith guy is apprentice or master,
yeah,
I'm leaning toward he's the apprentice.
Yeah,
and that we haven't seen the master,
and the master's actually the one truly pulling all the strings. Yeah,
I mean I think that they could fudge this a little bit and make Plagueis still the big guy.
Yeah,
and that they just Munes are a little older.
Yeah.
You know? I think it'd be a really wild choice to change like
his species
and make Chimere Plagueis.
Yeah.
I think, boy, you're really getting into dangerous water there.
Yeah.
Because I've seen a couple of people say that where it's like maybe Chimere is Plagueis. And I'm like, I think
you're throwing a lot of that book away.
Yeah. It's like, man, that's because I mean, him being immune it's important. It's integral.
Well, and him having his alias. Hey, go do mask holdings. Yeah, that's how they fund all of his little projects and stuff like that. That's how he can get his spot in the Senate. It's how he can get, it's just how everything kind of works. Yeah.
I just think there's no reason to change it. So I'd be very surprised if, I think Chimere is probably the apprentice.
Yeah.
And I could see them again fudging it and making Plagueis the master, or maybe it's Tenebris.
Yeah.
If I really had to theory craft, my idea would be by the end of the story, because I guess this is supposed to be a multi-season story.
Oh, really?
I thought it was supposed to be limited.
Interesting. Okay.
So I could see by the end of the story, they set up a Plagueis.
Finally see a redheaded Palpatine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe it's Tenebris at first, and like these guys kind of, the Jedi beat them and whatever, and the good guys win, huzzah. But then Tenebris is like, shucks, I got to find a new apprentice. Hey, that Mune over there is looking pretty slick. Let's go get him,
Gotcha.
That's kind of how I could see this going.
Yeah.
That way it would fit really cookie cutter, like nice into.
I mean, but we also got to realize, you see that gold line above the top of that book. I get that
it's Legends, but
it's not going to change. It won't.
I don't know. I don't know, man, because
it won't.
Here's my thing, though. It's too beloved a book. And there's no reason why it can't fit into canon. There's just no reason for it.
No, I gotcha.
Like when you get into like stuff with
Shadows of the Empire, that can't fit. Yeah,
Heir to the Empire, all that stuff, it can't fit anymore.
Yeah,
like with what they've done with the sequels, and I get it, like or hate it, whatever. You can sound off about that.
Yeah,
but it just doesn't fit anymore.
Yeah,
there is nothing that contradicts this book.
Yeah,
and there's nothing that goes into it. I mean, there might be a comic or something, right? There's no reason in my mind with how beloved this is. You're just going to make people mad.
Yeah.
Like I don't see
why alienate more people.
Like if I'm the guy, if I'm the suit at Lucasfilm sitting behind his desk at, or at the conference room, talking about, okay, what are we going to do here? I don't see a reason for it.
Yeah.
The only thing, if I really had to put on my business cap, is that maybe Lucino gets royalties.
Yeah.
And if they use anything from his story, then they got to get a kickback to him, because we've seen that they're not above changing stuff for that. I mean, look definitely. At Hasbro. They will cut every corner to make things about their Star Wars and not about Lucas's Star Wars, so that they don't have to cut him a check every time they release a figure.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's something with Lucasfilm Publishing. I'm going to venture a guess no.
Yeah.
Because if it's with publishing, I just don't see the storytelling elements, like if they use something. Because I don't see how that'd be the case, because then Zahn would have to get a kickback every time they use Thrawn.
Yeah. Maybe he does.
Because he still works for Star Wars.
He does. I'm sure.
But that's my thought. I don't know. I'm like, I just don't see a reason. I don't see a reason to make
why alienate it. Like,
they've already had a history of making people mad.
Yeah.
That's not worked out for them.
Yeah.
Why continue to do it?
Yeah.
I just don't see a reason to do it. That's all. So anyway, so a couple other last notes before we sort of round this out. The Jedi, again, I thought they were weird, but there's a lot more to the story, clearly.
Yes.
Like, why was Sol there while the place was burning?
Oh yeah. Well, no, they're upstairs. I guarantee they're talking to all the witches upstairs. You hear them scream when the whole building shakes. Yeah.
But there were no saber marks on them, so I don't think the Jedi hurt them.
Probably not.
So that's an interesting question. So then, was Soul present when May burned the building? Because there's kind of an interesting cut where she lights the journal.
Yeah.
Then it cuts. You don't actually.
Did you notice
see
her drawing?
Yeah, it was of the Republic symbol.
Yeah, it is. It's interesting. Yeah, it's really, really interesting.
Cute, good artist.
Because that would have been before, though. So how was she even like?
What do you mean?
Was that was before she'd even like met the Jedi, right? Wasn't she drawing that when they were getting ready for their?
I think she'd heard of the Jedi.
Okay,
I don't think they were a secret.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
Yeah, but I think that there's something to when May is outside. I don't think that she's the one who throws the lantern. Maybe Soul was there. Maybe he. I don't think he eggs her.
Isn't she holding it? And don't you see her drop it?
It cuts before she does that.
Oh, like she is staring into the fire.
Yeah, but then it cuts. So it's like, why cut? Why cut right there?
Oh yeah, well, because we're gonna get more of the story.
I know, but it's like
it does also look like he tries to force grab May.
Does it? Because I was gonna mention this.
I felt like it does, and then but he had to grab Osha because she's closer.
See, I didn't think so.
You did or you didn't?
I didn't think so.
See, my wife didn't think that either. But as he starts running, it looks like he tries to force grab her.
Really?
I think so.
See, that's what I thought was weird. Is that like in the previous episode, he does when she falls off the cliff.
Yeah.
And in this episode, or in episode 1 rather, in this episode, he grabs her with his hand.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
Like, brother, you got magic powers. Why are you worrying about that? Why are you relying on your upper body strength?
Yeah.
You know, and there's 2 of them.
Yeah.
Why not grab her with your arm and like you get the other one like this?
Again, I think that they are aware, like one has the tattoo, one has the, like, I think they're aware that one's, for lack of a better term, positive and one's negative. I mean,
could be because I think it's weird that Soul is very,
and we didn't,
like, he only calls out her name.
It's true. And we didn't see May's test. We don't know what happened on that ship. True. Yeah.
Well, we know she lied.
Exactly. So like, but we don't know like what else, like what implications came from that. Yeah.
I think it's weird. Soul is very like into saving her.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong. He should be into saving a child.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know.
I think he let her fall.
It's a little extra.
I'll be real with you.
May?
Yeah. I think that's probably his big sin.
Okay.
Is that he let her go.
He let her fall.
Yeah. He let her fall.
Because he does say that. He does say in the ship, he's like, I watched May die.
Exactly. And I think that he grabbed Osha.
Because the camera does.
It's weird.
Like it doesn't show you.
Yeah, because as it cuts, he's going like that. And the next thing you know, he's grabbing.
That's what I'm saying about like this weird delivery of information.
Yeah.
Like I get that May survives
making
it.
us interesting.
But it's so manufactured.
I'm not saying that it's good. I'm just saying that like.
Because it's like in that moment, you're picking and choosing so selectively what to show us, but it doesn't make sense. Like when you're doing an unreliable narrator thing, like, okay, tell us from Osha's perspective. Okay, then why do we see May outside your room at all?
Yeah.
Grabbing that lantern and looking at it.
Yeah.
Okay, you only cut when she throws the lantern because something happens there. Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
And then when she falls, we don't see her fall. What? Because she's looking at Soul?
Yeah.
Okay, then why did we see some of this other stuff that wasn't from her perspective? It's weird. It's weird to me.
That like I think their heart's in the right place. I've seen it done better. Yeah. So so yeah, good times.
At the end of the day, you know, like that's, I think you hit it there. I think what they're trying to do, the story is good. I think that
the execution,
their heart is in the right place.
Yeah.
It's clear that Leslie's a fan. And I heard that she based a lot of the story off of some contention with her and her sister growing up, you know, some personal anecdotes there, and like a D&D campaign is what a lot of the story is based off of that she had.
Wow.
Which makes sense. It's like this happened and this happened and this happened and this happened.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of faith in your DM to just like, oh my goodness. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So something she did
interesting.
I mean, I'm sure it's not.
No, not verbatim. But I mean, it's still wild. Like because let's be real. You know, there's only like 7 stories, and then and then little changes to make those. But yeah, there's only like 7 core ideas. But still, like,
right?
Wow. Okay. Wow.
My hope going forward is that first of all, I hope the Immaculate Conception thing gets cleared up.
Yeah.
I want some answers to that.
Yeah.
I want some satisfactory answers to that.
Yeah.
I certainly don't want to double down. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
This is I'm just throwing this out there. I don't know if this is what's going to happen, but I would kind of like if the first 4 episodes were from Osha's POV and then the second 4 were all from May. It would kind of make me feel a little better about this whole dark side perspective thing.
Yeah.
I don't think that's probably going to happen, but
it would be rough to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you're focusing on one character, then all of a sudden completely to change. It's like, yeah.
I just hope that we had kind of a rough first act.
Yeah.
To this whole story. And that now that we're kind of in the meat, that things start to pick up and things, our delivery of information is a little bit better. Because, hey, sometimes for some storytellers, the beginning is really tough. For some people, the end is really tough.
Yeah.
Some people, the middle is really hard. And I'm going to give Leslie the benefit of the doubt now. And
yeah, because we're dogging on it a little bit, but I mean, like, we only have...
It's only 3 episodes.
Yeah, 3 episodes. We still got another 5 to figure this out. So they could stick the landing and it could be awesome.
They absolutely could.
Yes.
Yeah, this is always what we say. I mean, every show we cover.
I don't want it to be bad. I want it to be awesome. I want it to be the next, oh my gosh, these are my favorite characters.
I want to get to the last episode and be like, boy, rough start, but wow.
What a banger.
They came out on top by the end of this.
Yes. Can't wait for the next season.
Yeah. And that's where I hope to be by the end of this. And that's my hope for every show, is that no matter how it goes, I don't ever want a show to fail. I don't ever want, something to burn just because I didn't like this or I didn't like that. I always want them to
succeed,
to stick it and but I'm always going to call out things I don't like too.
Yeah.
I'm not ever going to be like, I just like it because it's Star Wars. It's like, well, yeah. Because then you get yourself into a personal echo chamber and that's not good either.
No.
All right. I think it's about time. We got a bunch of them to hear from those homies at home in the fan questions.
Whoop. Clear your mind of questions.
Okay, here we got the fan question segment. So every week I put out a prompt on Instagram at Beyond the Dunes C in our stories, asking you guys to ask us any question you have about the topic of the week. This week, of course, is about Acolyte. I almost said Ahsoka. About Acolyte episode 3. Got a bunch of those. And also, if you don't have Instagram, you can always throw a question down into the comments down below. Real quick, 2 things. First off, I had a question that was asked in YouTube comments last week that I did want to throw out there. There's a bit of constructive criticism for us about chapters. If we should put chapters on the show. I've experimented with this in the past and I've never liked the results because I think it gives too much away. Like it spoils the episode.
Oh,
so
well, you could break it up into discussion, intro,
that's what
discussion, fan questions.
I was just about to ask that. So is that too vague for you guys? So first question, do you guys want chapters? And second question, would that be enough if I was like, okay, intro,
actual
1 minute
discussion.
review,
discussion,
fan questions, outro.
Yeah.
So, but I appreciate the constructive criticism. So just want to throw that out there because I was like, I don't know. I've played with that in the past and I didn't because it spoiled everything. And I was like, I don't want to put these in here.
Yeah, because I don't want people to be just skipping around the video and stuff like that. Because I mean, even though that, I don't know. I think that we weave fun conversations. Yeah, we do. We're
there's some feng shui going on.
We're like
here.
water. We flow. So, and you never know where we'll stop, or I'll say something ridiculous, and you don't want to miss
out.
Yes, you don't.
Second thing, before we get to the fan questions, we're going to do something a little bit differently for the remainder of the Acolyte. You might notice I've got the mug, the tier list mug.
Oh my goodness.
And you might notice that there's, the board's not here.
No.
A little fake out there for you. No board. But in this mug, I've got some little slips of paper with some other content creators. And so I got a favor to ask you, the listeners, the viewers, the audience today.
Homies at home.
The homies at home, as I like to call you. So we mentioned at the top of the show, there's been some not so great discourse around Acolyte, to say the least. And I'm not going to dwell on it here. I'm not going to give those guys the time of day. But all I will say is it has been a bit of a bummer for some of our friends out there and some of the people within our circle and some of the people that we know and some people that we don't know as well, but we see it. We see there's been some pretty vile stuff that's been kind of thrown out there. And so if you guys are familiar with like Twitch raids, this is going to kind of be similar. So I'm going to pull one out at random. And you can do it. And what I would ask of you guys is that whoever we pull out of there, we're going to tell you who it is and go to their page on Instagram, on YouTube, and just at least like their recent video. But if you'd like to go the extra mile, throw down a nice comment. Subscribe to them if you're interested, but just give them some love. Let's try to counteract all this just nonsense with some of these comments from the Acolyte, just some of these just hateful people out there. So we're just trying to do something just to hopefully invigorate the community a little bit. Who do we got?
Tony.
Oh, we got our friend Star Wars Sith 66.
Yeah.
Our friend Tony.
Mm-hmm.
So at Star Wars Sith 66 on YouTube. I'll put up, if I can figure out how to do the iCard, I'll do that.
Yeah. I'm sure you'll put a link.
Yeah. There'll be a link in the bio.
Yeah.
But yeah, head over to his page on Insta, on YouTube.
Yeah.
Just throw down, at the very least, we're just requesting you throw down a like, but if you feel so inclined, throw down a comment as well. And just give them some words of encouragement.
Yeah. Spread some positivity.
Yeah. But hey, don't tell them we sent you. Just keep this between you and I.
Shh.
Yeah.
Keep it secret.
So
keep it safe.
we're going to, you know what? Pull out a second one out there. There's a lot. Acolyte's only 8 episodes. We got a lot of
names in here. You want to pull one? Here, you pull one.
I'll pull one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We got the Ray side.
Yeah.
At the Ray side. Hannah, she's great.
Okay.
She's been doing some fun stuff. She dressed up she painted her face green like Vernestra.
Oh, okay.
For the Acolyte premiere.
Okay, right.
So that was really fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, another person out there, another content creator that could just throw down some likes, throw down a sub, throw down a nice comment.
Yes.
So
spreading some love.
Just spreading some love. Just a little bit of that. So we're gonna pull out a couple of these every week, just to try to counteract some of that. Just like that's how we do it.
Yeah.
So what's the quote? We don't. Dang it! What's the quote?
Help me.
We don't win by killing what we hate, but by saving what we love.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rose Tico quote for you.
There you go. Man, that movie's been all over this place.
It has been a while, though. I never would have thought.
Yeah. But look at that.
That's one of my least favorite quotes from that movie. But
yeah. But I mean,
but hey, I just spun it in a positive way.
It's true. What do we have?
What do we have from the homies at
Hope.
home? Oh, okay. Yes, we have hope. Yes. Sorry. What do we have from the homies at home? From Gabe_Michaels. Not bad. I think that it was the Jedi that destroyed the Coven, actually, and not May. Ooh. Was it the Jedi?
I don't know. I still think that it's Toothy Sith guy pulling some strings and making sure that everyone just everything all explodes. It just seems very Darth Bane.
Something there.
Yes.
Because, I mean, we know that from the trailers, Kelnaka looks like he's fighting Torben for some reason.
Yeah.
Somebody's possessed.
And Torben's got that scar at the end.
And isn't that a Wookiee thing? Like, if they use their claws, like, that's a big no-no, right? For the Wookiee culture.
I actually don't know.
Let us know. I'm not,
Yeah.
I don't feel like looking it up. I'll be real. I'm just being lazy.
Yeah.
But I think that that's a thing with Wookiee culture. Like, they can't use their claws for violence.
Gotcha.
So maybe that's why he exiles himself.
Yeah.
The Joe M. Cat. The fragmented story is because of an unreliable narrator. Are they all? Hey! Love to see it.
Yes.
I didn't look at these beforehand. This is awesome.
Rashomon.
Yes.
Rashomon.
Are they all
Rashomon?
unreliable narrators? That's a great question. What do you think? Are they all unreliable?
Oh, I think it's going to show that they all stink. That they're all horrible
nobody's
people.
going to be telling the full story.
Yes, I think that by the end of this, we will know a story, but it's going to be contradiction and stuff like that. So we're not going to know the true story.
So it's not going to be like TLJ where we get one side, the other side, and then the true story.
No, I think that we're going to get contradicting.
I think we'll get the real story.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
Yeah.
But who it'll come from? Likely Soul. I think Soul's the only guy who can probably give a real account. And he's going to be backed against the wall to do so.
Yeah.
Because I think you're right. I think the big issue is he probably let May die.
Yes.
Ed Eagles 7. What is their overall plan to try and rewrite Star Wars? Okay. Got a little critique here.
Yeah.
All right. No, I don't think so. I mean,
yeah.
I know a lot of people are up in arms about the whole redefining the Force thing, but like we said, it's just another culture.
And it's a different perspective on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's nothing, also.
The Immaculate Conception, you don't like that.
I don't like that, but it's not rewriting Star Wars.
No.
Like, at the end of the day, the 6 movies still exist.
Yeah.
It's not like, so far, even though there's stuff I don't like, there's nothing that has severely contradicted what I do like.
Yeah.
That's where we get into territory that
where
I
you
really
make
have
it,
a problem with.
where you all of a sudden it somehow makes the stuff that you like, you not like it now. Yeah.
I think you get into dangerous territory where you start redefining what the stuff you like actually means.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I don't know, like if they did they revealed in the show that Yoda is actually the Sith the whole time.
Yeah.
And that he made the plan with Plagueis and they did that, right? Like, I know it's wild, but like that would be redefining and rewriting Star Wars.
Yes.
I don't think they're doing that here. I don't think they're rewriting anything. Again, fine not to like it, but I don't think hyperbole is helpful, with when talking about it, or like I don't know. I just think watch it, form your own opinions.
Yeah.
And then engage with it, have conversations.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you just don't like it, then just, be like, wasn't for me.
Yeah.
On to the next one.
Yep.
Old Greg Foskett, I agree with the last video. Trailers are revealing too much and ruining plots. What should they change?
Make them vague. It's that simple.
I agree.
Yeah.
Because now we already know there's so much of this flashback we haven't seen.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's like,
make it vague.
I'm not going to get on my soapbox again about the trailers. Like you guys know. Although I will say that one that they released a couple days ago, that promo where it was like Amandla, she was just like, it was just Amandla. It wasn't May, but she was just like doing this. And then it like cut to May.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It was kind of a fire trailer. I kind of liked it. It was just a fun, like, I don't know, just a fire trailer. I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
Marshall McElhaney, I miss Ezra, smiley face. Why do I feel like that's a dig?
Wow.
I recognize that name here. It's a name I've not heard in a long time.
Well, look at that. People torment me about Qui-Gon. People torment you about Ezra.
I haven't gotten an Ezra torment in a while.
Yeah.
Do we know how many factions, how many fractions of witches are in Star Wars, and what's with the weird parental dynamic with the witches? One created, one birthed. But one is clearly the parent and the other one seems regulated to not mattering. I think it's a matter of like Mother Anastasia is the matriarch she's of the entire, like, it's a matriarchal society. She is the matriarch.
Yeah. She's the final say in all of it, I think.
And then Corin, right? I feel
Coral?
Corlin.
I don't know.
I apologize. I feel like, and then she's like the actual mom.
Yeah. Well,
maybe
she carried them,
or she birthed it. She almost seems like a surrogate.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's how I took it. Whereas like, no, she like, okay, fine, I'll carry him for you.
Yeah,
that's fine. And then it kind of stops there because she disciplines, but that's about it. Yeah.
It's like a Themyscira thing. So that's the way I get it. Like, like Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
I am GM_podcast. Did you enjoy the writing of episode 3? Did it recontextualize the other episodes for you? Brother, I sure didn't. I'm so sorry, but I did not enjoy the writing. Yeah. It didn't really recontextualize the other episodes for me though. Mm-hmm. So
just was the weakest of the 3 episodes. Mm. But if we get 2 more that are kind of like this, and then we get all the pieces together, maybe you could appreciate them in a trilogy. Maybe.
Perhaps.
I'm trying to be positive.
I know. I'm the jaded one today. Yeah. I'm sorry. Rebel_scum_art_apparel. Who really killed all the witches? Asking the right questions.
Oh, man.
BC_scrub. Very weird tone. Get the feeling we will see May or the Jedi side of this episode later.
Definitely.
That's what Seth's been saying.
Yes.
J_Williamson 94. I see the vision for the show, but execution has left a lot to be desired so far. Yeah.
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 I want a lightsaber fight.
Right?
I've been kind of like, all right, you promised like some wild lightsaber fights, and like this already feels like they're taking a lot of themes from Phantom Menace. So I'm like, all right, where's this crazy lightsaber fight?
Yeah,
they've been touting it too.
Yeah, we're about to get the duel in the forest. I think it's coming.
Oh, of all of them fighting?
Yeah, the next episode or the one after.
Yeah, sure. It's just, I don't know. That's crazy.
Yeah. Groge 511. I hope I said that one. Groge. So much information, so much to discuss. Hey, that's why you're tuning in to Beyond the Dune Sea, right?
We hope so.
Huh?
Yeah.
Ignat Kowski 4. Lots of new faces today. Really appreciate the interaction and the engagement. Does the creation of Osha and May relate to the events force on Peridia with Ahsoka? I think that there's definitely narrative connections, like with the threads.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say that like witches and threads, and then like the what are they, the sages? Is that what they're called in Greek mythology?
Fates.
The fates. I'm sorry. Yeah, the three fates and the three mothers on Peridia.
Did just spark an idea with me though. We talked a lot about Abeloth and Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Tooth guy kind of looks like Abeloth.
He
Got
does.
some Abeloth vibes.
Yeah.
Mother Anastasia? The mother?
You think so? That'd be insane.
I don't know. I'm just like, she did some pretty powerful stuff by creating the twins. The mother? Like that could make her go from Mother Anastasia to the mother.
And then it also fits too that like, you know, she can create things, but like still needs vessels to do things.
Yes. Yeah. Why didn't she create it in herself?
I know, that's what I'm saying.
I didn't think about that. Why would she not be her own vessel? There's something there too. Was it purely selfishness? Like she didn't want to go through the burden of pregnancy and childbirth? Or is it something deeper?
Because she can't. Because she's made of the Force.
I don't know that I wonder if we're truly if this truly is the Abeloth route. Abeloth was a person.
Yeah, at one point.
Who became corrupted.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean like, yeah.
What better way to corrupt a person than she's already dabbling in dark deeds.
Yeah.
And then she has her children taken away from her.
Yeah.
I mean, what better way to gain the moniker the mother?
Mother, because she created children in a family. No way. Like, it's wild. No way, though. What do you think?
I always it is odd that Tooth Guy has that look to him.
Yeah, because he does look like...
I mean, that looks like all the art you used to see of Abeloth.
Yeah, because Abeloth doesn't look like a person.
And they aren't... But then again, it's like...
How would the mother be out?
But it's like, is this purely coincidence that this happens to line up with Ahsoka?
Yeah.
Because I don't know that Leslie would have been doing that.
Yeah, I don't think so. Or I don't think that they're all on the same page. Because it's not like Marvel. Or what Marvel tries to do.
Yeah, no, it's not.
That's the whole thing.
At least not. It might be now that Dave has kind of got that Kevin Feige role.
Yeah,
but it wasn't when the show was in its inception.
Yeah. Interesting.
But then again, I kind of can circle back to like if this was announced in 2020, which means that this was in its inception earlier than that, a few years earlier, right? Leslie's really into the EU.
Yeah.
I mean, Abeloth is a thing.
Isn't in the EU, yeah. Was the last thing in the EU. They were fighting.
If she was a fan of that and was like, hey, I'm creating this mother character. Oh, wow. I really like the Mortis arc from Clone Wars. I really like, maybe she had the same thought.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's interesting. I don't hate that.
Yeah.
I don't hate it.
Why would she be out though?
What do you mean? She'd be out?
Because like, Abeloth's like sealed away or whatever, and then she gets out, and then like they have to seal her back up.
Well, maybe by the end of this, maybe this isn't a season 1 question. Maybe she does become this entity
eventually,
and then she does get locked away by the Mortis gods.
Yeah,
and then that's what Balin's after.
Yeah,
is after Mother Anastasia. I don't hate that, but I don't love it.
Wild. The other thing too is what I think, her tattoo on her forehead. Because it looks very like the Prime Jedi or like a yin yang symbol.
Yeah.
And it's just like...
It's also got some World Between Worlds vibes.
That's what I'm saying is like it kind of fits that whole like that Abeloth is the mother to the son and the daughter. So like both sides of the Force. Yeah.
May and Osha, light and dark.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Birthed these two...
Yes.
If you want to get real wild, to get like real in the weeds of this, is that what these characters are?
I don't know.
Is May like the daughter? Because they're almost setting up like that's a title.
Yeah.
You know, like Ahsoka might become the daughter.
Yeah.
Balin might become like the son or something. Yeah. Is that did it start that way?
Yeah.
Well, no, that can't be because
They've existed forever.
for at least 2,000 years, at
Yeah.
least.
Yeah.
So, okay. So that part can't be true.
Yeah.
But she could be the mother. She
Yeah.
could be. I mean, that was a character that was a person that became like a god.
Yeah.
Next question.
This is why we do this.
Great question, Ignakowski. It's Chimere. Chimere? Is it? Hey, let us know. Are you the Sith? It's not spelled the same.
His name is it's Chimere.
It's K-M-I-R-E.
Oh, I thought that he was yelling at us like
No.
it's pronounced Chimere. And by the way, you asked it. I think there's 3 sects of witches that we know of.
Oh.
Or 4 sects of witches that we know of, including this new one.
Okay.
You asked it because I think that but we didn't answer it.
Oh, okay.
Because there's like the Night Sisters, then there's the Mountain Clan, and then there's another clan.
What's the other clan?
I don't know, but I know there's another clan, and then there's this one.
And then the Great Mothers, maybe if you
They're,
count
but
that.
they look like
they're-
Night
they're
Sisters
just
though.
kind of the Night
Yeah.
Sisters. So it's Chimere. Not a fan of this one. A very weird chain of events that didn't add up. Writing seems sloppy. I agree
Well,
with you.
We got a third of the story, my man. That I
Yep.
think that.
I think some of it's intentional, but also it's the delivery, like I said.
Yeah.
So with you. Wiggly Piglet. Man, just so many great new faces. This is great. Those people were dead before the fire. Jedi looking worse and worse.
Definitely. I think bad misunderstanding.
Yeah.
Happened.
Great call, Wiggly Piglet. I'm right
Mhm.
with you. Right with you. Padawan_Pops. Is this how it really went down? Or will we see other POVs like in TLJ with Luke and Kylo Ren? Man, we're like, you know what, guys, audience out there, we're all on the same wavelength. I'm proud of you guys.
Yeah.
We've had people mention the Fallout show.
Yeah.
If I get a comment about Assassin's Creed Rogue, I'm going to lose my mind. Like that's what that's
You
gonna
could be like that one meme where the guy dives back through his green screen.
Josh Frice, this episode made me ask, is Star Wars in danger of losing its magic? What an interesting question.
Yeah.
I've said before, I think that while I've greatly enjoyed being able to sit here and talk and have all this new content, I do think there is something to be said about
A good ending.
a good ending and
Yeah.
just kind of letting it end with George.
Yeah.
And that's not to say, again, I always feel like I have to add this caveat. It's not to say that I hate the Disney stuff or like Disney Star Wars sucks and blah, blah, blah. It's not that. It's just,
Yeah.
I think that there's something to be said about finality.
Yeah. It's true. I think that that's very brave to just let things just be
Mhm.
done, as opposed to we've brought it up many times. Supernatural. That's
Yeah.
a good one. That's a show that
It
was season 5 was supposed to be the ending, but then it went on for
Yep.
Yeah.
And you
a
got
lot
and you
more.
got moments that were cool,
Yes.
but for the most part, it was kind of a slog.
It was a lot of just rehashing what came before it.
And I hope Star Wars doesn't become that
I don't want it to either.
because there are definitely there has been more that I don't like from Star Wars since Disney's acquired it.
It's really
than before.
interesting that Mandalorian, bad guys and children, Bad Batch, bad guys and children, Acolyte, good guys and children. It's all focused around that idea of
It is interesting.
of taking children. It's yeah. Had you thought about that before?
I hadn't.
And I
no.
just yeah.
I know people make the joke about the dads and
Yeah,
it's
no,
the same,
well,
but
that's just
no, it
as
does-
a formula, it works.
it does
Yeah.
go further than that.
Yeah.
You know what show's not that? Well, no, it is Kenobi. It's the same.
Yeah.
I was just about to say
Yeah.
it's
true. Yeah.
Book of Boba Fett and Andor are the only ones
Yeah.
that kind of break the mold.
Yeah. But the others all kind of have that theme.
Yeah. I do think
Ahsoka.
I actually will agree with
There's-
you, Josh. I do think Star Wars is in danger of losing its magic.
Yeah.
I think that the longer it goes, the more opportunity there is to lose its sauce.
Yeah.
And it's just because imagine you had your favorite meal every day of the week. It's only natural. You're going to want to you're going to get sick of it.
Try new things. Yeah.
And I think that there is something to be said about oversaturation. We've not reached that point yet, but I think that we could.
Yeah.
So something to think about. From Sir_Django_Fett, did you notice the chanting in the end credit theme? It sounds similar to Ewoks worshiping 3PO in Return of the Jedi. I didn't notice that. Did you notice that?
No. Now I got to go back and listen, though. They're like,
Well, I guess maybe if they played like an instrumental type version of that song during the Ascension, it could kind of sound like that, because that kind of sounded weird.
Mm-hmm.
Collector_Coop. I like it a lot. Hey, more power to you, brother. I like. I'm like that you like it a lot.
Yes.
Star Wars Passions. Doing an entire flashback episode, especially so early, killed the pacing for me personally. Again, we're kind of all looks like we're on the same page. Yeah. Ashton, share it. Everyone is sus. AB_toy picks. Do you think we saw the events as they actually happened? Are we being shown a certain POV? Yep.
Heck no.
Well, yes to the first.
Yeah.
No to the.
Yeah.
Well, rather, no to the latter. Yes to the former.
Yeah.
No, I got that backwards again.
You did.
Yes to the.
You can't talk.
I can't.
Heck no. That's what I'm saying. Heck no to your answer. We did not get the full story.
Yes, thank you,
Yes.
Seth. My goodness.
Yeah.
Okay. Crafting_on_Ilum. Favorite part of the episode. Okay.
Well, didn't you say that you liked her getting trained? Or him, like her test?
That was okay.
Yeah.
I like that, and I did like the establishing shots of the
Yeah. I did like
fortress.
when the Jedi came in, like it looked like business time when they came in to confront the Coven.
Yeah.
So I did like that kind of like look where it's like, ooh, we don't see the Jedi. It kind of reminded me of Luke Jabba Palace,
Oh.
where it's like,
Okay.
it's business time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not fooling around anymore. So I did like that.
Kelnaka working on his ship was cool.
Yeah.
On the speeder.
Yes. And I did like I like the tree. I'm curious. I hope more comes from the tree.
Yeah, I really like your idea.
Yeah.
I'm down with that.
Yeah. That I liked them kind of playing with the creatures that were flying around the tree and stuff like that. Yeah.
Michael_Kramer98. Did you guys think we were going to go back to present time after Osho woke up? I did, actually. Yes. Yep. I thought that was going to be the transition.
Yep. No, we doubled down.
Star Wars Sith 66. Hey, great reminder. He's the guy we pulled. Go thumbs up on his latest video. Maybe a good comment. I don't trust Saul even more now. He's up to no good. I think so. I think that I don't think he's a Sith.
No.
Like we were kind of joking about last week, but I do think that he may die. So,
yeah. I think he saw the darkness and then,
he followed through with what Luke did not.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Well, guys, Acolyte episode 3. It ruined Star Wars. I can't believe it.
What a doozy.
It's not good.
Yeah.
No, it was I'm hoping next week it's picking things up a little bit for me.
Yeah.
Even though I had my issues with it, I am still excited for next week. I'm excited to see where we go.
Mm-hmm.
There's still a lot of fun to be had, I think. There's still a lot of story to be told. And yeah, I do like a lot of these characters. I'm excited to see what happens with them. And I do like the core aspect of the show, the murder mystery. I'm down with it. And I do want to see what happens next.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I said it at the top. I'm excited they have kept that like, okay, now I only got a third of the answer. So I need to know the rest of it now. So yes, I will be, I'm not giving up on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Mm-hmm. Let us know, guys. What did you think of Acolyte episode 3? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Please, let's have a great discussion in the comments down below about it. Love to hear your thoughts. And as always, guys, let's keep things fun. Let's keep things constructive. If you liked it, I'm so glad you liked it, guys. I'm so glad that Acolyte is your jam, even if it's not my jam right now. Hopefully it's my jam next week. Either way, guys, we will see you next week.